If you know 3,000 words in English, you can pretty much say anything that you need to say. I'm teaching 3,000 words in 3,000 days. Let's take a look. Cultural. Cultural. Some synonyms of cultural are societal. If you're going to a cultural center, it's kind of like a museum or a place where people can celebrate their culture. Your culture is your belief system and your tradition, so traditional. I often look for cultural differences and similarities when I work with people. So when I'm talking about cultural differences or similarities, I'm talking about behavior. That might be something that I see in a lot of people from the same geographical area or from the same historical background. So folk is often, if I'm wearing or if I'm singing folk music, then I'm singing music that is often cultural or has roots in historical past. Folk dancing often is the dances from that culture. Ethnological ethnic is a word that we use to talk about our culture or a certain culture. Cultural things are, it's hard to explain a culture, but a culture is often what organically grows out of a group of people. We also use the word culture when we talk about science because the culture is the bacteria that grow together, and you can use that to then study something. So it's similar in that way that you have a culture when it comes to science, but you also have culture. And the larger word for culture, it talks about groups of people and the way we all interact. So we might talk about it like heritage. The museum showcases artifacts that reflect the rich cultural history of the region. So rich cultural history, we're talking about the traditions, the past, and how the past informs the present. Society values are often cultural. Understanding cultural differences is essential when working in a diverse international team. We talk about culture. Something can be cultural if it's a positive enrichment that connects us to our history. The festival was a vibrant celebration of cultural traditions, featuring music, dance, and food from around the world. Her research focuses on the cultural impact of technology on modern communication. So often we talk about culture being something that is from the past and now we see it in the present, but we also talk about cultural change. We've been seeing a broad cultural acceptance in the United States and across a lot of countries for a different understanding of gender identity. This has been a cultural shift. So we used to think one way, but as people talk and as beliefs change, then we see this cultural shift. So you'll often hear the word cultural with shift. Have you noticed any cultural shifts in your cultures lately? They used to be more conservative and they're moving to a more progressive shift, or perhaps your culture was progressive, but then something happened and it's become much more conservative. Shared practices. The neighborhood hosts weekly events to promote cultural exchange among its diverse residents. So when I read this sentence, I think that this neighborhood has maybe a dinner that happens every week. And at that dinner, each cultural group, maybe there's a group of people from India and there's a group of people from South America, one of the many cultures from South America, and maybe there's a group of people from Eastern Europe. And each week, one of these groups hosts the dinner, and there's a group from Asia. They host the dinner, they feed everybody the cultural food or the traditional food from that country. They play music from that country. They maybe they wear clothes. Maybe they even have a lesson about something traditional from their country. That's what, when I read the neighborhood hosts weekly events to promote cultural exchange, that's what I think of, that the neighborhood is doing something like this. The opposite of cultural would be cultural doesn't really have an opposite. Cultural just is. The noun is culture, not culture. Culture. The verb is to enculturate. To enculturate is, let's see. To enculturate means to force your culture on someone else. To enculturate. Cultural is the adjective. And culturally is the adverb. And usually I would use it with culturally speaking. I would use it with the word speaking to introduce how I am presenting this argument or this idea. I'd say culturally speaking, it's very common for people in the United States to want things on their own terms because the United States culture values independence. So culturally speaking, because that's a value, we are going to want to do something on our own. We won't necessarily want to work collaboratively. I really hope that you enjoyed this word. I want you to use it at least 5 times today. Like and subscribe, and please send me your questions and comments. I look at those, and if you have any questions about English, please ask. I will answer it in the comments. I might even make a video about it. So I hope to see you in the next video. Take care.